Hi everyone. I had originally done a video where I started with the blank template and typed and explained as I went, but that video got deleted about 95% uh, when it was about 95% done. So I'm starting over. I'm not going to delete what I wrote, I'm just going to go over it. But this is a video lesson on your leveled up body paragraph on your differences in your outline and the conclusion. So on the left side, again, it starts with definitions of the different components that you need in your paragraph, your leveled up body paragraph. So you're starting with a topic sentence about something your interviewees had that was not in common, not shared. And this should relate back to your thesis. Remember, everything stems forth from your thesis. You are using your context to introduce the question or the topic that was discussed between the two interviews. And then your content is going to be the response that you got from your Gen X and your Gen Z person that related to that question you asked. Remember, in your leveled up paragraph, you have multiple examples of textual evidence of content, one from your Gen X and one from your Gen Z, which is the purpose of that is to support, to have evidence that shows the differences between those generations. So in my topic sentence, I saw that while both generations valued hard work and persistence, they disagreed on whether or not the American dream is still attainable. And I chose to highlight that difference because we talk a lot about the American dream in class, and I thought we'd be able to make some more connections here. So with my context, I remembered this Gen X story that my dad shared about pushing through challenges even when things continue to go opposite as you planned. I'm going to mention that we're always in control of our attitude and our work ethic and the way we approach a situation despite what we may go through in life. That's a good segue into a quote from the interview that my father gave. So I just left a note for myself here to include that actual quote that relates to this context here. So since I included my father's perspective, Gen X, then I need to do the same thing with my Gen Z person and give textual evidence that shows how my brother differs from my father. So I'm going to introduce a part of the interview where my brother told a story about how he learned about privilege and how he feels it's more difficult for some people of certain like socioeconomic statuses or races or abilities to advance in society when they start out so far behind. So my brother sees the issue as more of like an unequal playing field. I think that's actually from the quote in the interview I had with him. So I've just left a note for myself here to include that quote about how it is possible to have this Gen X mindset where you're doing your best and you're trying hard and you're controlling what you can, but you still lose. You still come out on that losing side. That was the major difference I saw between my dad and my brother. This idealism versus more of a realism. So I'll talk about that in the connection piece. And I think I want to connect these differing attitudes to major historical events, like the 2008 recession and how that maybe colored my brother's mindset in a different way. I can connect it to the whole debate on minimum wage right now and whether that should be increased to match the rise of the cost of living in America. I might connect these attitudes toward the income inequality gap. And I think mindset is the key word I want to focus on for differences. Like, what impacts do these events have on the mindset of my father, of my brother, and their generations as a whole? So if you want to go ahead and practice that right now, I think that would be a great idea. Go ahead and do this part of the outline, then stretch, give yourself a brain break, get some fresh air, and then come back to follow up with a conclusion. So really quickly, your conclusion is straightforward. You're always doing two things in a conclusion. You're restating the key points that you made, which in the case of this essay are the main similarity and the main difference between your two generations that you interviewed and how that supports your thesis. And then you're ending in a memorable way. So with my key points, I'm just going back literally to the topic sentence from each paragraph. With the similarities, it was the shared value of hard work. That was a key point. And then the differences, key point was the differing opinions on how easy it is to succeed in this capitalist society, even if you do work hard and try to rise up through the ranks, and how that relates to the American dream. For memorable ending, there are a few ways you can do this. You can discuss a lesson learned, kind of like the moral of the story, so to say. You can make a prediction for the next generation. You can also give advice. I've just listed all three here for you. You decide what works best for your purposes. But once you've done this, again, step away from the writing, give yourself a break. And then it's also a good idea to have a family member proofread your work, or someone in the house to look over your work, to catch any mistakes you may have made grammatically, or to help clarify your thinking. It's hard not being in class, getting that instant feedback from me and from your peers, but use the resources that you have. And let me know how I can be helpful. When you are done,